Hi, Karen. Happy late November. It's always glorious to see you. And yeah, here we are. Here we are on a normal day at a normal time.
Katie, as always, it is wonderful to see you. Thank you for creating this time for us to be together. It's Monday, listeners and viewers, which is it's a different day for us, but I feel like we've done a couple Mondays in a row
We've done a
recording.
couple Mondays in a row. I don't mind Mondays, although it
Yeah.
does seem like a really long time between times that I see you, which is weird. But like, it
Right?
also makes sense because listeners were obviously recording this the week of Thanksgiving. So, you know, life is going to get a little busy come a few days from now.
I know. Life is gonna be lifing.
Life is going to be lifing. Yes, life is constantly lifing. Like that's my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It is constantly lifing, which
Yeah.
actually brings us to today's topic. But before we get to that, I have to follow up on something from last week, Karen, which is the saga of not having a cell phone.
Yes. I need to hear how this went. I wrote myself a note to ask you about phone free life.
Oh my God. It was the worst thing in the world.
Oh,
Like it was seriously, truly the worst thing. Okay, so when I talked to
no.
you last, and listeners, if you didn't listen to our last episode, I was in San Francisco for the week. I forgot my phone in Bend, and then it took me 4 days out of the 6 days that I was in San Francisco to get it. Anyway, the point is that I talked to you on day 3. Okay,
Ugh.
so up until that day, I was emailing people to like confirm, like, hey, you just still want to meet for dinner, blah, 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 whatever. It was nothing that wasn't like movable. Like everything that I had planned was like one of my friends got sick and we just canceled the dinner and so I just had a chill night and like it was fine. It really was fine. And me driving around Marin, which is north of San Francisco, and in San Francisco is actually a breeze. Like I can do it with
Mm.
my eyes closed because I lived there for so long. Come Tuesday, so the day after I talked to you, I did not get my phone until 6 p.m. that night because it was arriving at the UPS store because Tyler had flown it in. Well, which sounds so much fancier than it really is. But anyway, the point is that I had 3 meetings, Karen, in the peninsula, which the peninsula is the area south of San Francisco. It's like where Palo Alto is and Menlo Park and Redwood City and that kind of thing. So it just so happened I had meetings in all 3 of those cities. Well, the problem is that I truly do not know anything about that area. Like I really don't. Like even though living in San Francisco for as long as I did, I never went down there. It's kind of weird for me not to have gone to Stanford. Like I just never did. It never like came like I just there's no reason for me to have gone down there. So I was completely up a creek, and my first meeting was at 9 a.m. And I wrote down on my paper plate because I was writing directions on a paper plate. And I was ready. I was super early. Everything was fine. At least I was early, thinking I was early. Well, I got hella lost. I
Oh shit.
stopped at two Carl's Jr., a Shell gas station, and an IHOP on
Oh,
my way to my 9 a.m. meeting. And I was walking into this IHOP, like, excuse me, I'm sorry, to the hostess who's trying to seat normal people who are at an IHOP. There is me, a Tasmanian devil, who is like careening in, sweating in like a really nice business casual outfit, saying like,
mm.
"Oh my gosh, can you please help me with this one direction? And am I in the right place?" I had no idea where I was. I was
Oh
looking and
my
I was being
God.
so careful to look at every single exit. Oh, P.S. Last week was also APEC, which was the conference where
Mm.
Biden and Harris and the president of China just so happened to be in San Francisco, which, by the way, like never happens. And I know it was like this historic meeting, yada, yada, yada. You can extrapolate that there was quite a bit of traffic. So there's that too. Anyway, long story longer, I get to every single one of those 3 meetings conservatively 20 minutes late. It was between
Oh,
20 and 25 minutes late for each meeting. And I had given myself a buffer of 45 minutes driving for each meeting when like the driving time was like 6 minutes. No, 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 no. It's
oh
not
God.
6 minutes. It's 55 minutes if you're me.
Oh,
And so like it was so
okay.
bad, Karen. Honestly, I was crying and like I mean, I was trying not to cry because I was not gonna fuck up my mascara. Damn it. And so like that, like I was just it was awful. So thankfully all 3 people were very, very nice, but these were like business meetings, you know? So I was actually like genuinely embarrassed. It was awful. So there was one moment where the third meeting, well, I guess the third meeting was not a business meeting. It was with a friend, but I was still it was impossible for her to reach me. And I hadn't seen her in years. And we were going to this hike through the Stanford campus and I couldn't find out where I was going. Anyway, in a last ditch effort, like I'm driving through Palo Alto, which I've never been to Palo Alto. So like I don't know what it is. Palo Alto is fancy as fuck. Like it is so fucking fancy. There are no gas stations in Palo Alto. There are no convenience stores. I'm just driving past $7 million homes that used to, like belong to Steve Jobs. Seriously, with old growth, gorgeous, like trees everywhere with these like weeping willows. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a very beautiful sight unless you're me and have no idea where you're going. So I pull over this lady. I'm like, hey, and this woman is walking her poodle and she's like,
Stop.
hi, can I help you? And I was like, yes, can you please tell me, am I going the right way towards Stanford? Anyway, she takes out her phone. This is what I realize happens in every one of my interactions. I literally stopped 8 times during the day. And so
Oh my
every
God,
single
Katie.
one, they put in the directions on Google Maps and they were like, oh yeah, you go north here and then make a south turn here. And I was like, no,
No.
no, you need to tell me right or left.
Oh
That's
God.
I was like right or left. And then I'm like yelling at this lady with this poodle, even though I mean I wasn't yelling, I was a little less friendly than normal. Like it was like my 7th stop. And so like she points me in the wrong direction. I start driving and I start passing the Tesla company headquarters and
Oh,
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this is not the Stanford campus. Like, what the fuck? And so I pull up next to this 16-year-old in like a Toyota Tacoma, like a, truck. And I was like, I scream out my window and I was like, is this street behind me or ahead of me? And he's like, oh, ma'am, what? I never been asked directions. He's never even known what life without the internet is or Snapchat, whatever the fuck. Anyway, and so he tells me, he's like, oh no, you have to make a U-turn. And so I do. And I finally arrive
Oh God. Oh
and
God.
I ate a lot of pizza and wine for dinner. Like, because I needed to like eat my feelings. So anyway,
Yes.
word to the wise, this is a PSA to never forget your phone, especially when you're going someplace where you truly don't know where you are. Because like being in Palo Alto among all those old growth trees with the $7 million homes, like I genuinely could have been in China. Like I was like, I don't know anything. I have no direction. I could just end up in San Diego. Like I don't know where I am. So anyway, thank you for
Oh my
listening.
God.
That got a little long. Sorry about that.
It's quite all right. That was an epic saga and it needed to be an epic story. And I'm filled with anxiety
Oh,
picturing this. Like, oh my God. I don't, I feel like the loop that my brain is doing, and I don't know if this is what was happening for you, but it's like, this would be so much easier if I had my phone. Why don't I
yes.
have my phone? Do you know what I mean? Like every challenge just goes back to this place of, fuck, if I just had my phone.
Yes, the whole
Oh,
time. The whole time, because then you think, oh, I'll just text someone to tell them I'm late. They won't care. No, no, no. They
you
don't have
won't.
text messages in 1992. So that didn't work. Like this.
What the hell did we do? What did we do?
What did we do? Were we just not late back then? I don't know. Like,
I mean,
what did we do, Karen?
we certainly didn't change plans midstream or
No.
like,
Or flake. I bet there was
oh,
I bet the ratio of flaking to keeping your plans was low. Flaking was low.
yeah, flaking was probably low. Oh my God. The most inane thing just popped into my head and I'm just going to
Please.
say it because that's what we're here for. Like, man, this is so dumb. I'm so embarrassed. I'm about to say this, but have you ever read Twilight?
I haven't,
Oh,
but I know about it. And I went to the town where it was written
oh,
and remember the Forks,
Forks.
Washington? Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay. Yes. All right.
So
So,
I'm familiar.
listeners, viewers, I'm sure you are familiar with Twilight. So, I bring this up because she wrote Twilight way before it was actually published.
Oh,
And so there's a plot line of like people are using cell phones in it, but like not in a way that we would use cell phones now. And there's like
uh,
snafus involved with phones. The point I'm making is that how cell phones have even changed the way we tell stories.
oh,
Because like I'm just thinking of like all of the near misses that happen when you miss a call or right, like all of these things. You have to change that when like, what do you mean I missed a call? Like it's right here. My phone's right here.
Totally.
That is where my head went. It went to fiction and like how it's totally changed even that.
That's
Having a phone.
so, I love that so much because it's like it has changed the cellular structure of our beings. It has changed how we think of things. Like I love that. I love that it's changed how fiction has like manifested over time, like how storytelling has manifested. Like that's actually really deep. That's like really that's so true, Karen. Because it's like you can't pretend that you missed a call from your ex when you just have it on your phone. Like it's like, or like, oh, mom, you called me? Shit, I didn't know. Damn, not you, mom. I know I'm not talking about you. She's listening. But like, proverbial mothers. Like that's yes.
Yes. Like sitcom moms. Like I just think about like how many pre-cell phone sitcoms had a premise based on a misunderstanding, a missed call, a missed visit, missed whatever, that like a cell phone makes that plot point, moot. Like, no,
Totally.
yo, I texted you the address. What are you talking about?
Totally. And now you don't even have like an excuse to say that you like came across the wrong way when you're in a text. Because like when you're texting with people, if they don't put like a thumbs up or an emoji, oh, they are pissed as hell. That is like you have to put like a little like heart next to your thing, like if you have an iPhone, I guess, but like also like just give an emoji that takes 2 seconds. I've gotten in fights with Tyler because he doesn't use enough emojis, and he was so like he used to only heart things like a message. I was like, oh, how are you doing today? I'm doing great. Or I would say maybe something that didn't have a question mark, but I was just like, sending you love today, and then he would just heart it. He wouldn't write a note. He wouldn't be like, sending you love also. Anyway, that created some friction. And so now he uses a lot of emojis, but really it's kind of like a joke to him. But like still it actually matters to me. So I appreciate that about him.
Oh my God. Katie, I'm so relieved that you have been reunited with your phone.
Yes.
And this sounds so stressful. Oh my God, that sounds like, again, so much anxiety for you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry that happened.
Thank you so
Ugh.
much, Karen. It is like, uh, it's okay. I'm okay. I mean, the good thing is that in the middle of all of it, I went to see my uncle slash cousin in Berkeley, who is this devout Buddhist. And he is like, he had just been with his Sangha all day, which a Sangha is like a community that he's cultivated over decades, which is basically like these people who like, they, meditate together like for 9 hours. And it's this beautiful thing that he's been a part of for a long time. Anyway, and so when I got to his house, he was so calm, so truly zen. And he
Oh.
always is like that, but he was like a different level of that. And it made me kind of think the whole way home while I'm not listening to a podcast and I don't really feel like listening to NPR on the radio. I'm like, I'm going to be like John. I'm going to just be present. And you know what, Karen? With the exception of that time where I pulled over the lady with the poodle and maybe cried at IHOP, I was relatively present. I was more present after I got my phone. Okay, let's be honest. But anyway, I know I have just
Oh,
taken up all of our
God.
time with my phone stories, but thank you so much for listening.
Ooh, of course. I, ooh, man,
Yeah. So wait,
stressful.
okay, so how about you? Like how are you doing? How was your last week? Like are you getting excited for Thanksgiving? All the positive things.
I will just say this. Um, the one like amazing thing that happened to me over the last week is that I love the artist. Her name is Michelle Andagiocello, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
like a bassist and a singer-songwriter. A lot of people know her. She had a duet with John Cougar Mellencamp, probably
Wow.
in the 90s of Wild Night.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I'm in Indiana. I'm in Mellencamp land, so that's how people here know her. But so she has a new album out that has been nominated for a Grammy, and it's like super moody and weird. And I've been listening to her for like literally since the 90s and haven't really kept up with her music, but whenever I can see her, I have.
Nice.
I interviewed her once, which was amazing. So she's playing a show here in Indy, in a suburb of Indy called Carmel
Okay.
that I'd never been to. This music venue we didn't know anything about. And so instead of being planners, I just decided we'll just drive out to beautiful Carmel, Indiana, and just buy tickets at the box office. It's not sold out. Let's just see. And I will say that I've done this one other time.
I feel like you're a pro at this.
Oh my God, this is my concert hack. Go to the box office an hour before the show starts. I've mentioned this before. And like the artists typically have held tickets like for themselves, for their friends, their family, whoever.
Yes.
And if they don't get claimed, then they get released. So I got 7th row tickets, right, to see Jill Scott in Chicago years ago,
Oh
the
my
Chicago
God.
Theater, like literally walking up, sitting next to people who had like camped out, like
What?
legit had camped out to get their tickets.
This is
So
such a brilliant hack. I love this so much.
if a show is not sold out, just go to the box office the day of. So we roll up an hour ahead of the show, and it sounds crazy. We got 2nd row tickets.
Are you serious? Holy shit, Karen, for real? Oh my God. That's amazing.
Right. And the woman was like, yeah, people don't like sitting on the sides. So the side tickets were like, there were tons of available seats, like really close, like literally 2nd row. It was wild to me. So that was the good news. And it was like such a great, like I said, weird, moody, like beautiful musicians. And they did this thing I've never seen before in all of my years of concert going. I've never seen this. So the opening act comes out, and he's from Lafayette, Indiana, which was like really cute. So he's like, I'm extra nervous. He's got family in the audience, whatever.
Aww.
So he plays, and it's just him on stage with a couple instruments. And then the bass player comes out, and then the keyboardist comes out like
Ooh.
gradually during songs. And there's one song when the whole band comes out, including Michelle Ndegeocello, and sits and plays in with him for his last song because he's in the band.
Oh my God, what? That's so cool. That's so
Right?
cool.
Oh my God. It was such a cool, or like obviously orchestrated, but like organic thing to watch happen. And because he was singing and they were playing while she came out, just like kind of like nonchalantly, like she came out and sat down. Like there were a couple of people who like clapped or whatever, but it was just like, it was so cool. And it just made me reflect on the fact that like one of my favorite parts of a show is when the artist comes out and the crowd loses its shit.
Yes.
Like I feel like people have these very elaborate ways they get to the stage, or they come up from the floor, or they fly in or whatever. And I just love that moment, that anticipation of like, they're on the stage now. So to have her just kind of like chill and sit down was so cool. So
oh my gosh,
it was great.
it sounds so like seamless. Like it just like seems like very flowy, just like very like, oh my God, it sounds like very calm, honestly, to even be like the concert goer to watch this. It's like, what a cool experience. Like that's so creative of them to even think to do that.
I know, literally never seen it. And the other thing I'll say is that so the Carmel, Indiana, Carmel, as it turns out, is a super bougie suburb here.
Oh,
it is not Palo Alto bougie, but it's Indiana bougie, right?
Yeah.
And their Christkindl market was happening like at basically there's a plaza next door to this big, beautiful theater. That was the other thing. The theater where this show was like stunningly beautiful, big pipe organs and just stunning. And so this market, the first night of this market was happening. So there's like, I mean, boots with glog in them and like the whole like the whole Christkindl
wine and
yes, the whole thing. So it's this winter wonderland. It like feels like something out of a bad holiday movie, and we had to walk through it to get to the theater. And I look over and I'm like, MLB, is that a reindeer? They had a fucking reindeer, Katie. They had a reindeer,
a live one, like a real one.
Oh yeah. And there was a line of people to like have their picture taken with it, all the shit. And it was like, what is even happening? We'd gotten there early. We got the tickets, and they're like, I'm sorry, you can't bring your backpack into the show. So we had to go back to the car, drop off my backpack. Oh my God, help us. And go back through the Christkindl market. Oh my God. But on the way back, so there's a crowd of people. We're trying to make our way through. People are very angry with us because MLB does not play, and it's like muscling through. And I swear to God, the crowd opens up and there's an owl.
Like at the end, like waiting for you.
Full on. The crowd's hard, and there's a guy with a fucking owl. Like
Oh,
we're eye to eye with an owl. Yeah, there was a guy standing with an owl, holding an
oh,
owl.
like on his arm.
Yes.
Oh, that is so intense. Was it near the reindeer? Is it the reindeer's friend? Like, is that a Christmassy thing? I never knew an owl was Christmassy. This is
Didn't either.
intense.
Is it a Harry Potter thing? I don't know. It wasn't a white owl like Hedwig. It was beautiful. And MLB and I are both like low-key obsessed with owls. So we both had
Oh.
this moment of like, oh my God. But then we're like, we got to get to the theater. So we like ran past this owl and I was like, what is this? What is happening right now? Like, oh my God.
This sounds like you two are in a rom-com, honestly. Like,
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
you're passing the reindeer, you're passing the owl, MLB is elbowing everybody out of the way. Like, I mean, the only thing that's
Seriously.
missing is that like you someone like delivers you mulled wine on a sleigh as you're walking by.
Oh my gosh. I mean, in the rom-com version of this, we are at different points in the Chris Kindle market.
Yes.
And one of us has left our phone and we're trying to find each other, but we
Yes.
can't. And we're yelling across the
Totally.
crowds.
But then you finally give up, but then you're just standing, both of you, under the same mistletoe. And then you look out and you're just like, it's you. It's you. Oh my God. That's amazing.
Starts to snow.
Yes. Oh no, totally. The snow. Definitely. Forgot about the snow. Twinkly lights. I mean, I've seen this movie, Karen. Like, this is
Oh my God.
oh my gosh. And then you got second row seats. That sounds like the best weekend ever, honestly. That sounds was it Saturday night? That's so
This
cool.
was Saturday night. Yeah, it was great.
That's
And we met this
badass.
great couple and like we're supposed to hang out with them. Like it was really like
That's
just
so great.
I know. It was really such a magical, cool experience. And I'm like so glad that we like did all of these things we've never done before, right? Like
I'm so impressed. You really
Oh.
did. And you also, I have to congratulate you and like, or like commend you. Ever since you moved to Indiana, I mean, I think that you were very active in Chicago as well, but you and MLB have like showed up for Indiana. Like you have seen so many great performances. You have like so many cool friends there. You're making friends at concerts in the second row after you buy the tickets 30 minutes prior. What the hell? I mean,
Oh my God.
it really feels very inspiring, honestly. Like that's like really awesome. I also feel like there's something around, at least not to project on you, but like to be in a new place. It's like you want to try the new things. Like, do you feel like that's part of it as well?
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you for saying that. I mean, you also moved to a new place, like even farther away from where you came from. So
Totally.
also,
yeah. Go ahead, but we're sorry.
I was gonna say, I am inspired by you. You are taking classes and you're doing things and meeting people in the neighborhood, and you didn't hide from the trick-or-treaters. Like I feel like I'm inspired by watching you do this process over the last 3 years.
It's wild. It's been 3 years. I love that we inspire each other. I really do
Yes.
want to try the buy a ticket the day of, though.
Oh
It makes me
man.
think I should just drive up to Portland. And it's like if it doesn't work out, there's definitely going to be something great to do anyway. Why not?
I mean, if it doesn't work out, just buy a ticket on StubHub standing on your phone. I mean, assuming you have your phone. Right?
Legit,
Mhm.
that's true.
It's too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. But you're right. You're so right. You can just buy it on StubHub. Wait, okay, so if you go to the box office, can you get a better deal, or is there like can you negotiate, or like what's the for those out there, including myself,
Hmm.
what are your tips for going up to the box office? Like what is your like
Yes.
plan of attack for that?
So there was no line at the box
Okay.
office because everybody had bought their tickets in advance. So you're
Yep.
not waiting in line typically, and you don't have to pay the fees.
Oh,
So a $75 ticket is $75, not $98. You're not paying Ticketmaster, you're not paying StubHub, you're not paying these third-party ticket sellers. You're just buying the ticket at face value from the box office.
that is so brilliant. I love that. I really do. Like this is like a real hack. Like this is, I mean, did you think at all when you were on your way to Carmel that you were like, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. We'll just go to dinner or whatever. Like, or were you like, this must happen? Like, it's like, what is the energy that is like, how did it feel for you?
It was not a Beyonce level of energy. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
There were so many tickets. I did look online I will say, I did look online before we went to get a sense of how many tickets were still available. And there were still so many that I
Yeah,
felt confident it wasn't going to sell out.
that's great.
So yeah, I just rolled the dice. I mean, that Jill Scott's show though was sold out, and I still was just like, let me just. I mean, there's always going to be people who can't show up for whatever reason. So
Always. So true. I also love like the inside scoop that you have on knowing that like artists will always hold tickets for their family and friends. Always, of course they will. I don't ever think about that, but that's so true. Wow. This is very cool. Thanks, Karen. I'm so glad that you and MLB had so much fun. That's amazing.
it
And
was great.
the like the Chris Kringle market, did you walk back through it or by the time the concert was done was the reindeer gone?
The reindeer was gone. The owl was gone. The smelly cheese was gone.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, what are those little um oh god, what are they called?
Cheese curds.
Oh no, I do like the cheese curds, the fried cheese.
Okay.
They're little fish where you eat the whole, that's not sardines. There's like maybe
Oh.
smelts or something. There's like, yeah, some
I
kind
think
of
I know what you're
fish they
talking
sell on a
about.
bun.
Wait, they put the fish on a bun?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I what's also funny is I'm sure this is like, I don't know anything about this cultural phenomenon. I probably sound like an asshole, but Chris Kindle Market, it was the exact same Chris Kindle Market that's in downtown Chicago.
I've been to that one. Yes. Okay, but
So have
years
I.
ago, like 15 years ago. You've been there too? Yeah, it's very
Yes.
cool. But it's the
I
same
used to live.
thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, that's right. You would have lived on like downtown, of course.
Yes. So it is the same faux wooden cabin buildings where you're buying scarves and assorted paraphernalia. And yeah, it was really like, wow, this is the exact same thing.
Oh, that's so interesting. Good to know. Carmel has a thriving Chris. It's Chris Krindle, right?
I think it's
Kindle.
Chris. I always call it Chris Kringle. I do that too, and I think that's wrong.
Okay.
I think it's Chris Kindle. Like,
Kindle. Got it. Like
I
the
know
Amazon Kindle reading device. Got
someone is yelling, screaming at us right now. But
it. I'm
yes,
sorry, Tori, that we're not totally sure. Oh my God. Okay. Well, this is awesome. I'm so glad that you had so much fun. And
thank you.
I also love that we texted each other similar ideas for
Yes.
today's pod pretty much simultaneously. I love that you
Yes.
commented that we share a brain. I mean, I agree. And yeah, this
Yes.
topic is very present for many people this week. I think going into Thanksgiving, but also just like widely. So go ahead, go ahead. I just am excited about it.
Yes. All right. So I'll say what I texted you, and then you built on it. And what I texted was protecting your peace and your energy
Yes.
at a time when the world is literally at war.
Yeah. I mean, and then also the way that I saw it was that I think going into the holidays can be very joyful for many, many people. And of course, I only wish joy for everyone. And yet, the reality for some people is that this is not a joyful time. This is something less than joy. And for some people, it's a lot less than joy. It's very painful for various reasons. And so, how do you protect your peace? Like, if you're walking into a Thanksgiving situation where I know one of my friends, she is Jewish and she is going into a situation where she actually is doing a bunch of research on the war between Israel and Hamas because she needs to come prepared and basically I don't want to say armed, that's not what I mean. It's like she needs to come ready. Like she needs to come ready with like really serious facts and like historical knowledge and all of this stuff. And it's stressful for her because she is trying to defend her own position and yet also come from like a place of, you know, education. And it's just, I think, yeah, that's kind of combining these two topics also. So, yeah.
Yes. Ugh. That resonates with me a lot. I have a lot of colleagues who are facing a similar situation who do not agree with their parents or their families about this conflict, and their parents feel very betrayed by them. And yeah, it's very complex and very nuanced and very complicated and super emotional. And I feel like, you want to talk about generational trauma? Like it is baked into people's bodies, this conflict and this like strife, right? And all of the words that you could use to describe this that I won't use. And in the midst of all of that, how do you protect your own personal peace and your own energy? And the way I've been thinking about it is like this, like, it's really trite now to say it this way, but like this idea that if you have a very strong yes, then the little no's become easier. A big yes makes a little no easier. Like my big yes is I'm trying to lose these 25 goddamn pounds I lost over the summer wilding out. So the little no is I will not have an old fashioned. Did I have an old fashioned? Yes, I did. But that's an example, like having this big, yes, I'm saving money for this trip. Yes, I'm trying to go back to school. Yes, I'm trying this thing. And so all of these little no's are easier. And I feel like a big yes is I have to protect my peace and my energy.
Yes. And like, what are this? I love what you say about the little no's because it's like, it is small things that add up to protecting peace. Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, yes, for some people listening, maybe protecting their peace is doing something really big, which is saying no to going to Thanksgiving with people that are not going to be good for their energy. That is a big one. But I think the smaller ones are, if turning off NPR for, like a day, or doing something where like going to, at least in my situation, like a dance class. Today I was pretty stressed out, and there's a dance class at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 in the morning on a Monday, which seems like the worst time in the world to go to dance class. And like, yet I didn't have any meetings at that time today, but I had something that I was like, I could I could just stay and just look at my calendar and like do a few things while I'm waiting to see if a meeting comes through, or I could say fuck it, I'm going to protect my peace and go to my dance class. And I'm so glad I did, Karen, because it's just better for my
Yay.
body and my mind and my spirit. But like, I just think that I also think that like, and I love that idea of little things. I just like interrupted myself and now I forgot what I was going to say. Sweet. Well, that's okay. Giving ourselves grace, I guess, is what I was thinking.
Mm,
Oh, I know. I remember now. So what I was also thinking is like, I do want to acknowledge that there is a narrative specifically when it comes to this war that is happening, and it's in the news every day, and it's on the cover of my New York Times on my kitchen island right now, and it's everywhere, that you shouldn't be protecting your peace. There is a
mm,
narrative around that you should allow your heart to break, and that there's a lot of shoulding of like, you should get really, really fucking angry about this because that's the only way things will get better, or, that kind of thing. And I think that everyone has a different narrative around that. And I'm not trying to be here to be, like prescriptive in any way. I just think it's, I actually had a close friend recently who said this exact thing to me. She comes up with a word for the year every year, and
mm.
the word that usually comes to her isn't something that she like thinks hard about. It just kind of comes to her, and she like tries to listen to her intuition, and it usually comes around January, February. This year, for next year, it came like in late October, and she was like, oh, that's interesting. And she was like, I'm afraid to tell you what it is. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, well, okay, if you don't want to tell me, that's okay. She's like, no, I want to tell you. And I was like, okay, what? And she's like, it's delight. And she's like,
Oh.
I don't think it's okay for my word to be delight when all of this is happening. And I was like, okay, I'm like, what if we need delight more than we've ever needed it? What if we need joy more? What if that's an act of resistance? What if, I don't know, it's so hard to like put language to this stuff, but I just think that like, it's okay to even accept the idea that it would be helpful to protect your peace. Like, you don't have to engage in every single thing that is happening if that's not going to be protecting your peace, and you're still a good person. Like, that's, I don't know. Now I'm getting too preachy.
I mean, I I plus one all of those things. And also this idea of like, just like you were talking about with your uncle who meditated and was levitating, when you saw him, like peace is contagious. Like that
Yes.
energy of like, I am protecting my peace and I am protecting my energy from negativity and other people's nonsense is something that is palpable for people when they interact with you. And that is also valuable to put out in the world and getting like, I mean, yes, be rageful. Yes, be angry. Yes, be heartbroken and all of those things. But is that really a place you want to live all the time?
Right.
And is that a healthy place to live all the time? And yeah, I think that's what comes up for me. And also, I feel like for me, a little no right now, or a like mini, just like I'm surrendering this to protect my peace, is realizing how often people feel like they need to have the last word.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've ever realized, like, or not realized this, or like noticed this. Like, I feel like at work with a lot of people who I will say something that I feel like, okay, well, this part of this conversation is now over and we're going to move on. And they just feel like they have to either reiterate what I've just said or reiterate a point, like, and it took me a while to realize this. And it took a couple go rounds of this dance of like, no, but that's what I just said, or that's what you just said, or that. And I realized, like, oh, this person has to have the last word.
Ooh.
It's just a thing. And I'm just going to see that because I feel like sometimes it just starts to feel like conflict to be like, no, I'm going to say the last thing. No, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
yeah, it's just thing like even things like that are just like, okay, I'm going to give you that.
I mean, that's so beautiful because, like, when you do give them that, does that feel more peaceful to you? Like, how does that feel in your body?
Yes, I just am like, I find myself like, I'm like, am I that person? Because I find myself trying to say something and realizing, like, no, just okay, we're done.
Yes.
Just stop
Yes.
talking. Just stop.
Totally.
Say less.
Say less. Totally. I find this when I'm with Tyler sometimes where like we're kind of like not in a fight, but like in a little bit of a disagreement. Like the energy is not great. Sometimes if we're driving, for example, and like I've said something and it kind of made him mad or not mad. It's like it doesn't have to be super heightened. Sometimes I'll just like go over and like touch his hand with my hand. And like it will calm both of our nervous systems. And it's like I am choosing peace over continuing this conversation. And it's not that I'm like silencing him at all. It's more that like sometimes I realize that the thing, instead of just continuing to like harp on the same topic, I'll just go over and give him a hug. And like
Yes.
it doesn't always solve everything, but it does actually protect my own peace because it's like I don't always have to be right. That's not always where I'm at. Like sometimes I do feel like I do, but like exactly what you're talking about with the last word, I think that can be extrapolated to so many things. It's like, wait, what if you just didn't engage? Like what if it was just like how peaceful would that be? Like it just I think for me I would still be like ratcheting up in my mind, but eventually there's nothing to bounce off of if the other person isn't like there is no feedback loop. And so then like eventually the peace comes, it seems.
Yes. It's so true. It is really like, yeah, it really is just the surrendering, like we've said, like surrendering to just like that sense of like, this is my intention. Like my big yes is my peace and my energy. And yeah, I just wish that more people were practicing this out in the world. And until more of them are, we can just do it for ourselves.
No, totally, totally. Yes, and we can talk about it in this pod. And we can
Yes.
it's not an everyday thing, I think, for a lot of people. And I think one thing that I do want to point out when you're going toward Thanksgiving or interacting, I guess, with anyone, it doesn't have to be for the holiday, but like sometimes protecting your peace means doing something that someone else doesn't want you to do. Like you're going
Mm.
to offend someone if you say no, or if you do those tiny no's that might actually inconvenience someone else, or and it's like
Mm.
maybe that's not as bad as you think. Like sometimes protecting your peace means you stop contorting yourself into a position that you always have contorted, you know?
Yes. Ooh. All right. We're at time. I know. All
I know.
right.
Sorry, my phone's going off. I so apologize.
I will close by saying so Thanksgiving will have happened by the time folks see and hear this, but you have 2 more chances to protect your peace, Christmas and New Year's, depending on what you celebrate, I guess. And yeah, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I hope this message resonates with people.
I hope it does too. I love talking about this with you, Karen, and I feel like I could talk about this even more with like many, many, many more examples in the future. Yeah, this is great. Well, happy belated Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy holiday season. We will see you next week.